Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Now here's a topic that I've been meaning to make a video on for the last little bit, but I've been giving it a little bit of time to see how it develops. And officially today it looks like we have an update in the Brittney Griner situation. It's been a couple months since WNBA, I guess we could say star, Brittney Griner, was arrested at a Russian airport carrying capsules of cannabis THC oil. And of course we've been hearing all of the calls and the outcry from the mainstream media and the Twitter sphere to fight for her release. But as of today, it seems as though that is not happening. Brittney Griner has officially pleaded guilty to drug charges in Russia. She will be sentenced and she will spend time in prison. And look, some of you might vehemently disagree with me, but I have absolutely no sympathy for Brittney Griner. She did this to herself, and the idea that the US government should work overtime for her release is something I just can't agree with. I'll explain my position to you guys, and then we'll go into some other topics as well. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, take a look at the headline right over here. WNBA star Brittney Griner pleads guilty to drug charges in Russia. She explained to a Russian judge that she had done so inadvertently and asked the court for mercy, ESPN reported. I'd like to plead guilty, Your Honor, but there was no intent. I didn't want to break the law, she said. She faces up to 10 years in prison if convicted of large-scale transportation of drugs. Sources said the guilty plea to charges of drug possession and smuggling was a strategy to help facilitate a prisoner swap that could bring Griner home, and also was a recognition that there was no way she was going to be acquitted. US officials and Russia experts have described the trial on drug smuggling charges as theater, with a guilty verdict seen as a foregone conclusion. Thursday was the second day of her trial on charges that she tried to bring vape cartridges containing hashish oil into Russia on February 17th, where she was detained by customs officials at Moscow's Sheremetyevo airport. And so what does this whole thing boil down to? And so what exactly am I thinking here? Well, like in many other situations and many other cases, one saying comes to mind: play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I am an absolute advocate for the legalization of this benign substance. I don't think people should be made criminals. I don't think the profits or the business should be in the hands of cartels and criminal organizations. I think it's a relatively benign substance, much more benign than alcohol, and it's something that should be contributing to our economy. I want that to be clear. There should be small mom and pop businesses and even big major corporations bringing in tax dollars and creating jobs for American citizens, just like we see in the world of liquor. But that does not change the fact that you have to be an absolute dummy to transport illegal substances across a border, let alone the Russian border, especially considering the current tension between the West and Russia. I mean, what are you thinking? Not to mention, she's being charged with large-scale transportation, meaning she didn't just bring one vape pen, she brought multiple vape cartridges through customs in a country that has very severe penalties and doesn't play games with this kind of thing. Brittney Griner is facing the consequences of her poor decision-making skills. That's just how life works. When you make a bad decision, you should then have to deal with the consequences. And government shouldn't be coming to your rescue. And especially, government shouldn't be coming to your rescue just because you're some special celebrity who feels entitled to privileged treatment different than anyone else. Oh, and speaking of special privilege, celebrity and liberal privilege, somehow Megan Rapinoe, the biggest whiner on the planet, whined and complained herself all the way to a Presidential Medal of Freedom. If that's not celebrity liberal privilege, then I don't know what is. Back on this Brittney Griner thing, you think Brittney Griner is the only person spending time in prison or jail in a foreign authoritarian country? Absolutely not. Obviously not. But the idea that every other American who's currently rotting in prison has to stay there and has no options, but Brittney Griner is going to get special treatment and the White House is going to work 24/7 to try to free her, just doesn't sit right with me. You know, even a lot of conservatives have been saying that Donald Trump would have had her home by now. Look what he did with A$AP Rocky in Sweden. But even if that's the case, I also disagree with the whole A$AP Rocky situation. If you commit a crime, you should be held accountable, and you shouldn't receive special preferential treatment because you're a celebrity. A$AP Rocky was charged with assault in Sweden, and probably making the whole situation worse, A$AP Rocky was once again arrested in connection with Los Angeles shooting. He was detained in connection with a November 2021 incident upon returning from Barbados with his pregnant girlfriend Rihanna on a charge of assault with a deadly weapon stemming from an alleged non-fatal shooting last year. I mean, what's the point? What's the end game here? To promote to the world that laws apply to everybody except for WNBA basketball players? Or laws apply to everybody else except for famous rappers? Crimes don't count, and you should never be prosecuted if you have talent and name recognition. It's absurd. Not to mention the idea that the federal government should be fighting for the release of somebody who not only broke Russian law, but also broke US federal law. If somebody traveled from Russia into the United States and got caught in customs carrying illegal substances, that person would be arrested and charged with the exact same crime. Maybe a little bit more lenient, maybe there's certain situations where people get off a little bit easy, sure, but it's not only illegal in Russia, it's illegal in the United States. And now the federal government has to take the stance that, well, it doesn't matter if Brittney Griner does it, and the Russian legal system should just let it go. No, Brittney Griner made a decision, an extremely stupid decision, that might cost her freedom for a very long time. And that's really just the way that it goes. It's unfortunate, but if you were to do the same thing, you would be putting your life and your freedom in jeopardy, and you wouldn't have the ability to release press statements and lawyer statements to the media advocating for your release. You wouldn't have celebrities and activists, media networks and outlets promoting your message and calling for your release either. You would be left to rot in prison and face the consequences of your bad decision making. I mean, what was this person thinking? I don't ever want to go to a place like Russia or China or even most countries in the Middle East. Never will I ever go to those countries because of their authoritarian governments. And I never break the law. But it's a whole other level of ridiculous to go to one of these countries willingly while transporting illegal drugs and trying to get them through customs. No special treatment. And unfortunately for Brittney Griner, it seems as though her calls to Joe Biden are falling on deaf ears.
I have to write her and she's asking, have you met with him yet? And, I have to say no. We're over 140 days at this point. That does not work. And so I will not be quiet anymore. I still have not heard from him. And honestly, it's very disheartening.
Biden is completely ignoring the situation and not taking calls from Brittney Griner's wife. Ironically enough for Brittney Griner, after spending 2020 bashing America and bashing Donald Trump, bashing the national anthem and the flag, well now she probably wishes that Donald Trump was in office, considering his track record and considering his ability to deal with the Russians. And it's just a little bit ironic that the person who spent the last couple of years disrespecting the national anthem and the American flag, and a country that has given her everything, is now begging for that government to come save her after this grave mistake that she made. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's as simple as that. Being a celebrity does not make you immune to consequence. And look, you might disagree with me, you might disagree with the law. You might think it's an absolutely terrible situation, which clearly it is. But unfortunately, there's a difference between the whole A$AP Rocky situation and this one, and that's the fact that we're dealing with Russia here. Russia doesn't care what you think, and that's why you probably shouldn't transport drugs across the Russian border, or any border for that matter. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.